chat to assist with any tech issues and bring questions to the presenter's attention. We'll also be sure to leave some time for questions at the end. We're going to pause here just for a couple of minutes to allow other people to join us. All right, good morning again. Keeping your mind and body active and engaged is important. Plano Public Library is pleased to partner with several organizations with resources to assist you. Along with opportunities to learn something new at the library, these Living Well programs will connect you with information, programs, and services to assist you in getting the most out of life. Our presenters today are Kelly Crimmins, Doug Bratches, and Don Wendell with the City of Plano's Parks and Recreation Department. They will be sharing safety features and tips for Plano's extensive trail system, which provides beautiful outdoor walking, running, and bicycling paths for you and your friends with over 150 miles of on-street bicycle routes and nearly 100 miles of shared use paths. Thanks for being with us today. And Kelly, I'm going to hand this off to you.
Sounds good, Sharon. Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, that's my video. There we go. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Kelly Crimmins, as Sharon mentioned, and I am the PR and Community Outreach Specialist for Plano Parks and Recreation. And with me today is Doug Bratches, our Trail System Planner, and Don Wendell, who is our Bike Ambassador. So we're all here to tell you all about Plano's trail system and how you can get the most out of it. I'm going to start with a brief introduction and give you a little bit of background into the history of our department so you kind of can get an idea of how we've grown into the system that we are today. And then I'll hand it off to Doug, who is going to be talking about the planning and managing of the trail system. He's going to go over some of the projects that we're working on, because there are several. And then he's going to hand it off to Dawn, who's going to talk about trail use and bike safety tips and just give you kind of the tool, the know-how that you need to navigate the trail system. And like I said, get the most out of it. So without further ado, I will start. So I don't know how many of you have lived in Plano, how long you've lived in Plano, but our department was established in 1968, and we started from humble beginnings. We had just 42 acres of parkland and a couple of part-time employees, and from there we grew with the city through the 80s and 90s. We started in downtown Plano off 15th Street. We moved around a couple of times. We had an office in Harrington Park. We went back to downtown Plano. And then in 2015, our administrative office moved to Oak Point Park and Nature Preserve, where our nature and retreat center can be found. If you haven't come by to visit this park, I highly encourage you to do so. It's beautiful. And so, so in 1970, so we were just 2 years in, we were already starting to kind of lay the foundation for our park and trail system. And so in 1970, we started what we call the Community Schools Program. And so that was a really fundamental partnership that we started with Plano ISD in order to bring recreation programs to Plano. Without a standalone rec center, we needed the schools to operate out of. And so when the schools were out of session after hours in the summertime, we would be able to use those facilities to put our recreation classes on in. So from there, the trail system started coming in and the park system. And so you'll notice when you go out to our parks and trails that the cool thing about our trail system is that they're all interconnected with the parks and the schools. And so there's a lot of interconnectivity there that a lot of people are taking advantage of today. Let's see. So we had the partnership there in 1978. Our department was awarded with an Outdoor Recreation Achievement Award from the U.S. Department of the Interior for the success of this community schools program. And the Department of the Interior said that, quote, other communities can learn from its creativeness in solving a limited fiscal resource problem. So we ended up saving about $6 million in capital development by partnering with Plano ISD, and we still work with them today in a variety of facets. So it's really been a long-lasting relationship that we've had, especially with our parks and schools in close proximity to each other. Let's see, going on more history, we move on into the 70s. We got our first national trail designations for the Bluebonnet and Chisholm trails, which are two of the arterial veins of our trail system, so to speak. Kind of the backbone of our trail system, I'd like to say. So today, 80% of Plano residents live within a 10-minute walk of a park, trail, or recreation facility. So you can see over the past several decades, we have been dedicated since our department was established to creating connectivity throughout Plano with our trail system. So, and just to go back, I wanted to tell you what a national recreation trail designation actually means. So it's recognized by the National Park Service to some of our country's highest caliber trails with the intention of providing recreation access to rural and urban communities, economic development through tourism, and healthy recreation opportunities. So our trail system serves our residents in a number of ways, whether you're doing it for fun with your family or for fitness and exercise, commuting. This is actually Bike Month here in May throughout the country, and Bike Week is taking place as we speak. Bike to Work Days coming up. You can find all information about Bike Month on our bikeplano.org page, which all of these links that I rattle off to you will be provided to you in the chat. Okay, and so fast forward to today, we have, as Sharon mentioned, over 150 miles of bike routes. We have 100 plus miles of trails, regional trails, hike and bike trails, soft surface trails. You can see from the map here in red how much we have grown and how much we have worked to create these connections. And in fact, our connections and the connectivity is not limited to just Plano. There's a regional effort that we are a part of that Doug will tell you a little bit about of here shortly. But I think that is all of the history that I have. If there's anybody out there listening, by the way, who's a history junkie like myself and want to learn more about our department's history, I encourage you, again, this link will be in the chat, but I encourage you to go and visit. I'm going to show you real quick. This is the Collin County Images website. The library maintains this, and it's amazing. What we did over the past couple of years is we took our department's entire collection of photo slides, newspaper articles, publications, awards, things like that, and we digitized them working with the public library or with the Plano Library. And so you can go on this website and just you could probably spend hours on here going through all of these galleries, but if you want to learn more about our department's history, you can go visit the Plano Parks and Land Development Archive. That's where you can go get all of our cool pictures from yesteryear. So just a little extra there. Before I hand it off to Doug, does anybody have any questions so far? Sharon. Let's see what the chat's saying. Okay, we are good. All right, well, I'm going to hand it off to Doug now, who is going to talk about some of the things that we are doing today.
Kelly, there is one question, and that just can this map of trails be found on the Plano website?
Yes. Yes. So if you go to the Bike Plano website here, I've got information here. Bike and trail maps. You have interactive maps. You have a citywide bike and trail map. You can also pick up a hard copy park and trail map at any of our recreation centers. Hopefully the library has some. If you don't, let me know. I'll bring you some. But yes, you can get, let's see if this one does it. Yes. Yep. This is it. That is the whole park and trail system right here. So everything is at bikeplano.org. That's where I would start out.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Let me get this set up for you, Doug, and then you can take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kelly.
Mhm.
Hi, everyone. My name is Doug Bratches, and I'm our trail system planner with the Plano Parks and Rec Department. And I'll be talking about a couple of things today, mainly talking about our usage of these trails, the different types of trails that we have, our growth and connections with various cities surrounding us, our emergency trail market system, and I'll also go over a couple of our renovation projects and upcoming projects for our trail system. So we have a trail system or a trail counter system here since 2013. These trail counters are able to detect and record the number of bicycle users and pedestrian users throughout our various trails. We also coordinate with the North Central Texas Council of Governments to work on improving the system as well as getting replacements and to analyze how people are using our different trails and where we should be prioritizing regional connections throughout. And since 2013, we've had more than 3.2 million bicycle users use our trails and more than 2.5 million pedestrian users. So it's a very significant amount of people using our trails. So I don't know who's all been down Shiloh Road recently, but we do have our first on-street shared bike lane. We have a dedicated bike lane going from Shiloh Road, and you can see the road markings on there, and they are protected by little rubber barriers from the main street. Right now, we have determined we're looking at how Shiloh Road is working as being a bike lane to see if we need to and if we can implement this bike lane in other spots throughout the city. And right now, they can only really be used on minor arterial roads like Shiloh Road and local streets. So we also have an emergency trail marker system. This system is located right now at Bob Woodruff Trails, Chisholm Trail, and Oak Point Park and Nature Preserve, and they're placed about every third mile of each trail. And looking at that photo, you can see what they look like. You can see that it says 911 location, and it has a number 321 OPW. So if you're ever in an emergency and you see those markers, you can call 911 and give that number with those 3 letters followed. That way, emergency services will be able to locate you on our trails.
Doug, there is a
Yes.
question. Do you know what section of Shiloh Road has the bike lane by any chance?
Yes, I believe it starts south of Park and goes to, let me pull up my map real quick. I believe it starts south of Park and goes up to 14th Street right now.
Thank you.
So some recently completed projects that we have in the city, we've finished the Hoblitzel Park Trail extension. And this is a new section of trail just south of Hedgecoats. And it also preps us to make a regional connection with the city of Allen, as north of Hedgecoats is Allen. And they will be adding in a trail in the future to connect with this one to allow that regional connectivity with us. Another recently completed project done by our engineering department is we've added a small section of trail north of 16th Street that will be connecting southwards to the already existing Chisholm Trail. And this will help us to create more trail north of this to connect the west side of Chisholm Trail, and will also connect down to the Collin Creek Mall development. So if you see on this image, all the circles with the yellow border and the blue interior, these are all of our current ongoing and planned trail projects for the future. As you can see, there's quite a good many of them right now. So a current project in construction is the Bob Woodruff Southwest Trail. There's a trail that goes behind the Bob Woodruff Dog Park. And as you can see in the photos, we've had history of significant flooding and erosion throughout that area. So this trail project is designed and is constructed right now to have an elevated box culvert system to help with the drainage, as well as some site grading and some tree planting for beautification throughout this project. And this project is most likely going to be completed in mid-June. So starting at close to the end of June, you can go out there and see this new section of trail. Some upcoming projects that we have a Chisholm Trail undercrossing at Spring Creek, where Chisholm Trail goes underneath the bridge at Spring Creek. This project is going to be raising the trail up on the bridge abutments to help prevent some trail closures and prevent dirt buildup, as that section of trail frequently gets flooded when we have heavy rains. Also, we have a project about to begin at Preston Ridge and Blue Bonnet Trail at that intersection. We're going to be moving the trail away from the Encore power lines to make it a bit safer for everyone going through and ease that connection. And while that trail is under construction, we will have an asphalt trail bypass so that users can still use that trail as construction is ongoing. And lastly, we have a project planned to connect that section of trail north of 16th to the Collin Creek Mall redevelopment, which the Collin Creek Mall redevelopment has a trail going throughout itself as well, which will help expand that section of trail as well. So a couple projects we have in design coming up right now. We have Breckenridge Trail going into design, which will connect to the Silver Line Shiloh Road station. And we have Bob Woodruff Northwest to renovate a 30-year-old trail to help with drainage issues and flooding issues in that area, as well as a minor repair in Legacy Trail at a bridge location by Hedgecoats.
Hey, Doug,
Yes.
that Breckenridge Trail, this picture here on the left, there's one reason why we do these types of projects is to have them be up to ADA standards. That's a pretty narrow trail, right? Is that going to be widened a little bit?
Actually, this trail in the image is the Bob Woodruff Northwest Trail, and that trail is compliant. Most of our trails are shared use paths, which are anywhere from 8 feet wide to 12 feet wide, with 12 feet being our ideal standard we like to work with. That way bicyclists and pedestrians can use the trail at the same time.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Doug, we do have a couple other questions. Would you like now or okay? So someone would like to know if you could define shared use path.
Okay, like I briefly mentioned, a shared use path is a section of sidewalk or path that is paved that is a minimum of 8 feet wide to 12 feet wide and follows ADA compliance. So that is what a shared use path is, and it encourages both bicycle and pedestrian use at the same time, which is why we try to meet those minimum requirements. And when we redesign and redevelop trails, we go up to that new standard.
Okay, I think that clarifies, because the question that followed that is, does this pertain to autos as well? So the shared path is not for autos, correct?
No, it is not for vehicle use. You may see some park maintenance vehicles using these shared use paths, but that's just so they can get into the interior of parks and nature preserves to perform their maintenance routines and work.
Okay, and there is somebody who's looking to ride their bike on a trail that is on Coyton Park. Do you have anything off the top of your head of a trail around that Coyton Park area?
That's popping up in my immediate head. I know, kind of following along Coit, we do have Preston Ridge Trail, which we are looking at expanding, but I don't believe it really neatly matches up to Coit Road.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So moving on, we do have a 6 cities trail plan with Plano and 5 other cities that surround us to work on regional trail connections and everything related to that for regional connectivity and transportation. It's a long-range guiding document for those connections, and we do meet occasionally with Collin County and those other cities to reassess and reevaluate these regional connections, as well as to update which connections have been done and where to prioritize for those connections to take place in the coming years. And lastly, as I briefly mentioned, the Silver Line, the Cotton Belt Trail is a trail that follows along where DART is creating the Silver Line that will go from Shiloh Road Station all the way to, I believe, DFW Airport. And there will be a section of trail that follows along it as well to help with those connectivity of anyone getting off at the Silver Line to easily hop onto one of our existing trails, our on-street bike paths and on-street bike routes. And I believe that is it for me. Are there any remaining questions?
Not at this time.
Dawn,
All right. I'll hand it over to Don Wendell now.
Dawn, before you go on, there was something that I forgot to mention in my part of the presentation. Don is one of our former directors. There might be people in the audience who know Don already, maybe. He has been a staple of Plano for a long time and was our longest serving director. And I am just so privileged to work alongside him as he has become our city's or our department's first bike ambassador. And he's done a lot of great things to bring that awareness to our residents. So I will hand it off to you. I just wanted to let people know what your ties are.
Okay, well, thank you, Kelly, and thank you to the folks who are joining the program this morning. And thank you for your interest in living well in Plano by using trails, because we certainly have a large number of trails that contribute to living well. You know, using trails, using the outdoors for that matter, offers a number of benefits. First of all, it's just fun. It's just fun to be outside. It's fun to be on a trail regardless of how you're using them. Trails also contribute to physical fitness, to mental health. They provide opportunities to socialize with family and friends, a chance to pursue a hobby or recreation, and just the sheer joy of being outdoors, particularly in the spring. Today I was out on the trail and it was a beautiful day to be out early in the morning. And so just being outdoors, being on trails certainly contributes to mental and physical well-being and just overall joy. So now when you're enjoying the trails, keep in mind that they are multi-purpose, shared use, as someone asked about, and people use them in many ways. If you've been on the trails, you'll see people walking. You'll see people with dogs, right? And we're going to talk more about dogs a little later. You're going to see joggers. You'll see cyclists, and not just cyclists on the traditional two-wheel bicycle. You'll see adults on adult trikes. You'll see folks on recumbents, which is a type of bike where you're kind of sitting back and your legs are out in front as you're pedaling. And just recently, we're seeing lots of folks using e-bikes, which is a great way, particularly for those who may have some mobility issues and not able to use a standard bike. E-bikes provide an outstanding recreational opportunity for them. And you're going to see skaters, skateboarders. You'll see people on scooters, and you may see on our trails the Lime scooters that you can check out and use on the trail. You'll see people, adults, pushing strollers. You're going to see wheelchair users. You'll see lots of photographers, particularly in our nature preserves, which is Oak Point Park and Nature Preserve and Arbor Hills Nature Preserve. Bird watchers are out in abundance, particularly this time of the year, because we've got some great opportunities for bird watching in our nature preserves. On weekends, you may encounter folks participating in organized runs during the school day, and if the school is adjacent to a trail, it's a good chance you'll see some school kids using the trail for some of their fitness activities. And we even have folks using the trails for commuting to work and even to school. So lots of uses on the trails, and they certainly are shared use trails, shared use paths. So let's look now maybe at some of the ways that we can maximize our use. First off, when you're going to go out on a trail, or a park for that matter, you want to sort of plan ahead and prepare. Now, if you're going to walk out your back door and get on the trail and walk for, half a mile, maybe some of this stuff doesn't necessarily apply to you. But if you're going to go out for an extended period of time, and maybe into a trail that you have not visited before, you may want to plan ahead in terms of having a map or some navigation. Go ahead and change the slide if you don't mind, Kelly. There we go. Having a map or some type of a navigation aid. Oak Point Park and Nature Preserve has many, many miles of trails that they all interconnect, maybe both hard surface and soft surface. But if you're not familiar, a map would help. So maybe take a look at a map. If you want a little bit help in navigating, and of course, there are navigation aids readily available on your phone. Google Maps in particular will be very helpful in that regard. Also, when you go out on the trail, it's a good idea to know what are the trail use rules. So what do I need to know about to be able to use the trail? And that information, again, is going to be available usually on the map, on a map itself, or through appropriate websites. Maybe take a look at the weather, see what the weather is going to be, and then plan accordingly. Do you need sun protection? We are getting into sun protection season right now. So maybe check the UV index and decide if you need sun protection like sunscreen, sunglasses, or a hat, or is it going to rain? Like I think it's supposed to rain either tomorrow. So if you're out on the trails, maybe packing a rain jacket might be a good idea. And then depending on how long you're going to be out enjoying the trail, should you bring water or a snack? And then something else, I think everyone has this, and it's always a good idea to carry your phone. Probably not a good idea, at least in my opinion, to be looking down at your phone as you're walking along the trail, but to have your phone in case of an emergency. As Doug pointed out, several of our trails have the 911 markings, or you could call for emergency aid should the need arise. So planning ahead and preparing will maximize your use and enjoyment of the trails. Okay, next slide, please.
So Don, do you have time for another question?
Of course I do, sure.
Earlier, you were talking about who and what types of bicycles and such may be on the trails. We have a question. What kind of electric vehicles are allowed on trails? Specifically mentioned was the Chisholm Trail. So the participant said that they've seen Segways, electric bikes, and electric trikes lately.
Well, typically the most common is the type 1. There are 3 types of e-bikes. And without getting into too much detail, the type 1 has to be pedaled. It's pedal assisted with a maximum speed before the pedal assist kicks off of about 20 miles an hour. Type 2 has a throttle where you don't necessarily have to pedal. You can, but you don't have to. The type 1, you have to pedal. And then the type 3, you have to pedal, but it has a higher maximum speed, which I believe is 28 miles an hour. So we're seeing all types of e-bikes. Now, Segways, yeah, I'm not sure about Segways. They're not that much different than perhaps an e-bike in terms of use, but I guess we'd have to defer to our park ordinance in terms of Segways. But they are, and there are the types of devices where you stand on it. It's like I don't know what it's called, but it has a wheel and a platform, and you balance on it, and it has a motor. I've seen a couple of those out of the trails as well. So So e-bikes are allowed, but they certainly, all the other regulations that apply to any other bike applies to the e-bike, especially the speed limit. Our speed limit on our trails is 15 miles an hour. And e-bikes, particularly those that have the throttle, are capable of going a lot faster. And so e-bike users just need to be extra cautious because they can go faster if they choose to, and they're just kind of larger and heavier than normal bikes. So we're allowing e-bikes, but we caution people to use those responsibly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now next slide, Kelly. All right, so wildlife. Well, really all of our trails, but in particular, Oak Point Park and Nature Preserve, Arbor Hills Nature Preserve, Bob Woodruff Park, Hobbitsdale Park, Windhaven Meadows Park. They are really great places to observe wildlife. And when we're out, we want to remember that it's, we're visiting them in their home. This is where they live. And so you want to respect wildlife. Never approach them, observe them, photograph them, enjoy them from a distance, but don't try to get closer for that perfect shot. Just observe them where you are and don't disturb the wildlife. And of course, don't feed them. Human food is not good. You may think you're doing a favor when you're feeding the ducks, but you're not. That does not do them a favor. As a matter of fact, you'll see around many of our lakes, you'll see signs that talk about the fact that we should not feed wildlife. So enjoy them, be happy that they're there, give them respect, particularly if you see the guy that's on the right side of your screen. But realize it's their home and we're visiting their home. And so respect and enjoy wildlife. And we'll talk more about this again a little bit later, control your pet. We want to be sure your pet does not approach or attempt to disturb wildlife. So it's great that we have wildlife. We just want to observe them and don't disturb them. Okay, next slide, please, Kelly. All right, we talked about all the different users and how many ways that they're using our trails. We want to respect other users. They too, just like when you're out, they have the right to be able to enjoy the trails regardless of how they're using them. Sometimes we travel in a group. Maybe it's a biking group, or maybe it's a family group. If in a group, scoot over to the right and use only the half of the trail, only the right half of the trail, making room for other people to pass. And also, when you stop, move either off the trail if it's safe to do so, or get over to the far right, again, to allow others to pass freely along the trail. So being courteous on the trail goes a long way. Smile, a wave, I think that helps us all coexist peacefully on the trails, regardless of what method regardless of what way we're using the trail. Okay, next slide, please. Be alert. Okay, we talked about it. All types of users. Some on e-bikes may be going a little faster. Some people, maybe you're not going to hear them approach. Perhaps they're on an electric bike and they're using a throttle assist, or maybe they're just running real quietly. But be aware of other users. And I know lots of folks enjoy having the AirPods or the headphones. Personally, I think I'm there to hear the sounds of nature, but others prefer to have music playing, or maybe they're participating in a webinar or phone call. But if you're using AirPods or headphones, we encourage folks to keep the volume low so that you can hear what's happening around you. We're going to talk in just a moment about what could be happening around you when you're on the trail. So just be alert. Be aware of other users. It just kind of know what's happening in and around you as you're on the trail. Okay, another slide. Okay, this is where keeping the volume of your AirPods or headphones down to a reasonable level. When you're on the trail, you ride to the right, you walk to the right, you jog to the right, you skate to the right, whatever it is, you stay on the right, travel on the right, you pass on the left. Now, when you're passing, it's always a good idea to use an audible signal. This applies particularly to cyclists or anyone who's maybe traveling faster than a walker or a jogger. So use an audible signal. If you've got a bell, ring the bell. Let someone know that you're passing on your left with a kind of a loud enough voice so they can hear you. And then as you're passing, maybe give them a little smile or a little wave. Lots of folks, when they hear you, they'll either maybe move over a little farther to the right, or they'll wave their hand to acknowledge that they're there. If you're on a bike and you're passing and you don't get an acknowledgement, maybe assume they didn't hear you. Maybe they do have the AirPods up too loud. So just be considerate, pass slowly, carefully, and give them ample room as you go around the person that you're passing. So just remember to keep right and pass on the left side. Okay. Leave no trace. Help us keep the parks and trails clean. I think it's our responsibility to do so. And Plano really does a really good job of that. We hardly ever see litter on our trails or on our parks. So just remember to put litter, even crumbs, apple cores. They should not be tossed into the woods. That's food. And sure enough, a squirrel or a rabbit or somebody else will take a bite of that. It's not good for them. Yes, it will degrade over time, but more than likely an animal's going to go after it before that happens. Same thing with banana peel. Yeah, you think, toss that out. It'll rot, it'll decay. Yes, it will. But again, it's not natural. It doesn't belong there. So anything any litter, put it in a trash can. We've got those throughout the parks. There's a picture of one. Or take it home and deposit it in your trash can. So just help keep parks clean. I think that's so important. And again, thanks to the folks in Plano, the trail and park users, because you guys do a really good job of doing just that. Okay, next. Dogs. I love dogs. I think we all love dogs. But when you're out on the trail in a park, you want to keep your pet on a leash to protect it, other visitors, and wildlife. That's very important. You will see people every day when you're on the trails, both the dogs on a leash and you'll see dogs off leash. And I know the dog is probably very well behaved, probably under voice command, all that sort of thing. That's great, but they need to be on a leash because they are unpredictable. They could spot. We had a picture of a coyote earlier. They could come up on the copperhead snake. And so it's really actually it's a city ordinance that dogs need to be kept on the leash. So please keep your dog on a leash to protect it, other people, and certainly so they don't bother wildlife. And of course, everyone knows this, but use a plastic bag to pick up your pet's poop and then place it in the trash can. Now, here's something that we see occasionally. Picking up your pet's poop, putting it in a plastic bag and leaving it by the trail doesn't count. That's not quite the same as picking it up and putting it in the trash can. So if you're going to do that, go through each of the steps and deposit in the trash can. Don't leave it by the trail, hoping somebody else will pick it up. And we're lucky in Plano. If you want a off-leash experience for your dog, we got you covered. 3 dog parks. They are great. We've got one on kind of the east side of town at Bob Woodruff Park. We've got one in the middle of town at Jack Carter Park. And then we've got one far west at Windhaven Meadows Park. So 3 great dog parks, very busy. It's a great place for a great off-leash experience for your dog. So remember, keep your dog on a leash and help us by picking up the dog's poop. Okay, next slide, please. All right, now, how can you get involved? I love the trail. I want to do more. I want to participate. What are some ways to get involved? Well, first of all, the Bike Plano logo that you see right in the middle, that's sort of the clearinghouse, the website clearinghouse, where you can go for all kinds of information about trails, not just biking, but it's also got maps and other trail use information right there. You can take part in any number of parks and recreation activities that are offered throughout the year. That's a picture of the catalog right in the center there. That many of those have outdoor activities that are going to be in our parks our trails. You can, if you're an older adult, we have an older adult bike group, and they're pictured on the left, and on the bottom left-hand corner, called the Plano Easy Riders. And so we get together once a month and go out on the bike ride on the trails, practicing all of those good trail use techniques that we just talked about. If you're interested, we can put a note in the chat, and we can send you, give you the email address that you can send a note and get on the mailing list. Also, the Bike Plano and the Parks and Recreation Department partners with a number of organizations, including our library. And some of the pictures that you're seeing, the one on the far right at the top and the one right below that on the bottom, that's from the library summer reading kickoff and the National Trails Day celebration. That was from last year, but we've got one coming up in just a few weeks. It's going to be on June 1st at Davis Library between 2 and 4. We'll be there. The bike ambassadors and the Parks and Recreation folks will be there, passing out information about the trails. If you haven't got a trail map before then, we'll have one for you there. We'll have activities for the kids. We've got some giveaways. REI will be there, helping check bikes for people, and we'll be doing some helmet fitting to be sure, particularly for kids, their helmet fits them properly. So there are lots of opportunities to get involved. Also, let me mention the Plano, the PBA, the Plano Bicycle Association, one of the largest bike groups in the country, probably one of the premier bike groups as well. Started, incidentally, by the Parks and Recreation Department back in the mid-'80s. They've grown to a fantastic club. They have bike rides for all skill levels, all speeds. They use trails, they use streets. It's a great group if you're really into biking and you want to get involved. So from a biking standpoint, the PBA or the Plano Easy Riders, certainly opportunities to get yourself involved in some biking activities. And then I'll leave my final slide. We'll show you some resources, and we're going to put these links in the chat so you can easily just click on them and go right to them. Plano Parks and Rec, lots of information from registering for classes to finding out about special events. You can take a link there to get to the trail information, or you can just use the bikeplano.org link, and it'll take you directly to the page with all kinds of biking information, as well as information on trail maps and trail use. There's a link to the Plano Bicycle Association. They welcome new members. Information will be available there. The League of American Bicyclists has been around since the 1800s. It is the national organization for cyclists. They advocate for safe streets, more trails. They advocate for bicycle safety. They provide opportunities and information for all riders, regardless of your level. You can be a member and get lots more information, or you can just go to their website, and there's lots of information about cycling there and trail use as well. And then the Plano Pacers Running Club, they also are a trail user at least once a month. They're at Woodruff Park doing one of their monthly club runs. The Parks and Recreation Department also started that club back in the mid-1980s, and they are an outstanding run club that certainly takes advantage of our trails. And then we kind of talked about sort of leave no trace. A lot of what we talked about in the presentation about taking care of the parks relates to leaving no trace. And there's a national nonprofit organization that talks about what you can do, whether you're going on a wilderness backpacking trip or whether you're using your neighborhood park, what you can do to help leave no trace, to help protect these wonderful natural resources that we have. So that's kind of the end of my comments. I certainly welcome any questions that you may have, either now or you can put them in the chat, and we'll get back with you later.
I think that's all. That's all we have. Oh, I did want to tell people, I wanted to put in the chat that on our website, planoparks.org, we also have a park projects and plans page that you can access from the home screen that will give you an up-to-date, basically rundown of all of the projects that we have going on. So if you'd like to refer to something that Doug had mentioned, you could go there.
All right, well, great. Thank you so much. Participants, feel free to ask questions in the chat box. We'll be happy to address those. In the meantime, I do want to thank Kelly and Doug and Don for sharing such interesting and important information. We really enjoyed all that you said. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because I would like to share some more programs that are coming up in the library. And so let me check the chat real quick. Do we have any other questions? Okay, I am going to go back here because I want to start from the beginning. Okay, so the Plano library system has many programs and resources that we would like to share with the participants here today. And the first one I want to talk about is the Connecting Seniors. So you can drop into Connecting Seniors online or in person. So we get together at at Haggard Library or virtually via Zoom like you're doing today to share stories, experiences, and memories and just have fun. So we do have some upcoming programs that include next month will be Summertime Blues. And so we'll be discussing favorite trips, journeys, or vacations that we've taken during the summer. And participants are welcome to bring an object or picture to share. In July, we'll also be discussing sharing summer games, not just for athletes, kind of in honor of the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. We want to remember other legendary moments as well. So that is our topic in July. And then we have this or that coming on August 1st. And those being questions like, would you rather go on a vacation or staycation? Would you prefer coffee or tea? So we're going to discuss important questions like that. It looks like we might, okay, great. So let us go on. We have also, I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to go back here for a minute. We have memory keepers. So we can, this is a program that is for people living with early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's and their care partners. Memory Keepers, offered in partnership with the Alzheimer's Association, is a monthly online conversational program to explore and conserve memories together. The aim of this program is to give people living with dementia or Alzheimer's a comfortable space to express feelings, interact with others, remember the past, express their personality, reduce anxiety and restlessness. Memory Keepers meets virtually on the third Monday of the month at 10:30 a.m. So also a good opportunity to join us online. We have always something new to learn in many different ways to expand your social circle and engage with others. So we have programs and classes on a variety of topics for all ages, as you can see on your screen. These programs and classes do not require a library card, and you can participate via Zoom or watch at any time on YouTube or take an in-person class at your nearest library. So learn about personal finance, starting a small business, pick up skills in Microsoft Word or Excel, or find out how you can check out books, audiobooks, and magazines using the Libby app on your tablet, phone, or computer. And don't forget the Plano Library app for Apple and Android, and use the app to check out materials on your phone, reserve program and study rooms, connect to our digital library, and access online learning and more. Our Living Well series has more sessions coming up. We would love for you to take note that we have on June 11th, Health for Brain and Body, on July 9th, Staying Social, and on August 13th, Preventing Falls. So please join us via Zoom for those as well. We have a financial program called Saving with a Purpose on June 20th. And we have business and career opportunities for you. We offer a job resource connection, and our upcoming dates are May 20th, June 3rd, June 17th, and July 1st. We also have a Platforms to Solve program on May 28th. Upcoming classes for fun, because you might want to try some of these. We have wind chimes coming up on June 3rd, sit and stitch. So all kinds of needlework and more on June 10th, 24th, July 8th, and 22nd. Chess on June 8th, 19th, and July 17th. Watercolor for beginners on June 17th, and shibori dyeing on June 30th. We also have some technology classes coming up, like how to use ebooks on May 22nd. Any questions you have, please bring those. Cricut and how to use it on May 31st, June 7th, and 15th. We do have Cricut machines available at 3 of our libraries, and a computer basics class coming up in June and July. So please join us. Fairly newer to our system are these older adult bags you see on the screen above. So these were designed to encourage conversation and engagement with older adults that may have signs of dementia or Alzheimer's and their caregivers. And the bags fit into 2 major themes. There are sensory bags and reminisce bags. And as you can see on the screen above, they serve wonderful purposes for calming anxieties, sound, building strength, brain games, and motor skills with our sensory bags. And our reminisce bags include gardening, baseball, road trips, traveling by train, and life on the farm. You can place holds on those just like a book, and check them out for 3 weeks, and they are renewable. So find out more about everything that's going on in the Plano Library, also by visiting our blog, which posts content and resources about art and culture, early learning, student resources, STEAM learning, technology, and reading. And you can always visit the blog that we have on our website for articles, recommendations, and reading lists, and to learn more about online programs. On the screen before you, you will also see that you can connect with us on Facebook, you can YouTube and Instagram, and receive daily information about what's going on at the library. You can also sign up to receive Sage, a monthly e-newsletter aimed at older adults, and it covers services and programs provided by the City of Plano, including the library. You can also sign up for Check It Out. That's the library's monthly e-newsletter featuring news and updates about the Plano libraries. So there are so many ways to stay social at the library from the comforts of your home, because we do offer many virtual programs and online classes, and the blog as well. So before we say goodbye, are there any other questions? Anything that we can help with? If not, then I would love to thank all of you for attending today. Let's see.
Sharon,
Yes.
we just have a question about where the June 10th program is going to be located. I believe it's in regards to the sit and stitch. I'm currently trying to look at our calendar to see when.
Yeah, I would have to sneak a peek too, so I'll give you some time. So that the sit and stitch, I believe it's I better not guess. I'll wait for you to pull that up because I don't want to confuse anybody. While she's looking that up, are there any other questions? Yeah, the sit and stitch I hear is a blast. I Yeah, not good. That was my guess that it does take place at the
So at
Haggard
the
Library.
Haggard Library.
Yeah, on Coit between Park and Parker. I understand it's a good time. It almost doesn't matter what you're working on, but bring it with you. It's a social event and maybe a productive one as well. Great. Are there any other questions?
It just looks like there's a question, yeah, about mahjong and if there will be.
Not at the moment, but stay tuned because every once in a while we do introduce new programs and we're constantly brainstorming. So we'll put that on our radar, but not at the moment. Oh, so Brianna, in regard to the sit and stitch, I believe you bring your own project that you're working on. So if you're knitting or crocheting or cross stitching or doing something, you bring it with you. I might also add if you want to bring some water, a snack, you're welcome to do that too. So you don't have that. Well, maybe between now and then, perhaps you'll find something to work on. And if you don't, you're still welcome to come and just listen to a bunch of people talking and having a really good social time. All right. Okay, perfect. Is there a way to print this chat? That, Kelsey, are you aware of? I think I personally would probably copy and paste it right now. But Kelsey, do you have any other tricks of the trade?
I'm not sure, but I believe that traditionally following up virtual programs, there may be an email sent out to the participants or there's some type of information, but I do not believe there's a way to print the chat. I would just suggest maybe copy and pasting the links as you have them.
Yeah.
Available.
Okay, what's here? Let's see what's in the Q&A. All right. Well, thank you. I think we are set. If there are no other questions, I want to thank you once again for attending. And I do want to thank again Kelly, Doug, and Dawn for their expertise.
Thank you for having us.
All right. You guys have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.